Please remind me, like I'd still like to go through the rest of our exercise, but I'd like to return to doing a special vendor to show you how it actually works, okay? Because I think it's a piece of the puzzle, especially if you guys are mixing generic inventory, that you at least need to know how to work it, okay? Great. Let's go to Cheryl. Cheryl, would you like to come up and kind of show us what you did?
I had already written down some of the things I wanted to do for my business. And so when I'd gone to the other classes, so this was good for me to sit down and evaluate what I really needed to do, whether they were POs, whether they were on the other side. I just so I kind of had an idea of what I was doing. So I did more tech herbal, and do I want to do the edit?
Well, if printable is a nice version, edit will allow a lot more links in kind of a work mode, if you will.
Okay, so basically what I did is I already knew that when you make herbal preparations, I would have to have a lot of different kinds of containers. And so basically what I did is I put in the containers that I knew I would be using. So I knew there'd be 1 ounce amber that would have a dropper on it. I knew there'd be a 4 ounce amber bottle with a cap, and you'd have to buy the 4 ounce dropper that went with it separately. And I knew there'd be a 16 ounce amber and then a quart amber. And when we made up the medicine, so I knew that already. In fact, last night I had actually gone through and looked at the different containers that we had used. And so I have quite a few of them that I can go ahead and add on. And originally I did bottles, and I thought, well, then where am I going to put my empty capsules? So I changed it from bottles to containers so that I could put everything that was a container in the same thing.
Awesome.
And then I went through and didn't put it.
Did you make that switch then today in thought?
No, I actually did it on paper before I put it in. So that was really good to do it on paper, because it was one of those things that I had just said bottles, 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 and all of a sudden I went, oh, wait a minute. And so I made it container, so before I put it in I didn't have to do it. But then I went through the rest of my things and had Brandon's help, and we came up with what would be the categories, what would be the items, even though I didn't put them in. And that was really helpful to be able to look through some of the things and see what I needed. So I think I did a lot more on paper than I actually put in, but
well, what are your categories?
Well, see, so right now what my categories are containers, then consultation, classes, and then we came up with one for fees, because I wanted as a line item the fee, because when I...
Like a service charge.
It's a service charge type of thing.
For mixing and prepping and providing the area, or like cleanup afterwards, all that kind of stuff is into like a setup fee or a service charge.
Service charge, and then what I'll do is all the other things like the paper towels and the cleansers, I'll strictly run through as expenses, and so it'll just be a service charge somebody gets. And then there were some particular supplies that weren't herbs, and so I put herbs separate and supplies separate, because I know when we went, and basing it off a shop I went to, there were certain things when we did apple cider vinegar, she literally sold me a container. She bought it and she passed it right through and sold it to me. And so I wanted something for a couple of those type of a thing. And then there were a couple also that, there was one in particular that we said, oh, it might be vendor specific if I decided to only go with doTERRA essential oils. But then again, I was thinking maybe what I need to do is just do something that's more like retail. So if I bring in Dr. Christopher's formula already made, if I bring in doTERRA essential oils already made, I'll just stick them in there and just send them through. Anyway, it was good experience to see what was a category, what was an item. So that's what I kind of did on that.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, Shannon.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, it's great. I kind of just went to town. I had like 4 POs because I decided to create a wilderness touring group. So I called it Wild Wandering out of Alaska. And what I brought in on this PO, which is the company that I was creating under, I put all my services under this company. So I put it under guiding and some under education were my categories, because I had like wilderness survival and first aid classes and wilderness therapy classes, so that all went under education. And then I had different guiding fees that I put under private, party, or commercial. So that looks like this. If I were to go over education. So I put those classes under there, and I just kept all those unlimited. And then I did the same thing for guiding. So that they're under there and they're unlimited, and they have different fees for companies or private
So just as a
parties.
reminder, unlimited for Mark, because he missed yesterday. If you do a service, if you can't track inventory on a service, which is what she's doing, all her tours and everything, so instead of listing everything, so that you're tracking inventory, it goes under unlimited.
Basically what it does behind the scenes is it allows it to pass through and doesn't try to quantify it, say, what do I owe, what do I have, it's like, okay, cool, that's just on the revenue side, flow it through. So that's what it kind of does on the backside.
So I brought all of that in on one PO, and I called that my Wild Wandering, because I wanted all of those under my generic company so that I could just distribute those out. But then I also wanted to create a gear shop, because obviously I have to sell gear, but all of that was vendor specific. So then I went into all sorts of different POs, so I could show you there, because I brought in at least 3. So Arc'teryx, Marmot, and Montreal. I brought in all these different specific gears, like these were packs that I brought in, backpacking packs from Arc'teryx. And then I brought in tents from Marmot and other packs. And then I brought in shoes from Montreal. But I wanted those vendor specific, but then I also wanted them so that I could search like any tents that I have, it's in it, or well, probably a better one would be pack. Because then it has my packs from every company. So I wanted that in the name so I could search it, so that I could see all my packs,
Okay,
even though they're from different companies.
That'd be a great spot for a reference number as well. You can just put pack, 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 pack.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah,
then
that'd be
you
great.
can put day pack, fanny pack.
Backpack,
in the reference,
yeah.
and then if you wanted to just search pack,
So,
it's another way to
So-
search things, but
so she was trying to put the term pack,
in the
I
part
just
number.
put it in my part number.
but that could get cumbersome, but under reference, she could put multiple terms
Oh,
if
yeah.
she wanted to search.
Like you could even do that reference number. What if she did something like this? Pack, day, pack, overnight, whatever your different realms are. But,
So right there. is the
Yep, so
reference
just go
number.
pack.
But so my question was,
So you're moving to Alaska?
like there I would probably put hydration pack or something,
Sure,
and all
sure,
my
sure.
hydration packs I could bring up. But would you search for that specifically
So watch
in
this.
reference number? Or-
So the part number, because we know your inventories are huge, the part number does a 4-way search. Click on the show hide search criteria. We're currently on the Parks and General Inventory homepage. It's a 4-way global search. If you were to actually click on the help file, like go up to the top real quick, click on help, and right there, special note about each part search. It's like the second paragraph. Oh, the second and third paragraph. It basically says, hey, just so you know, we're going to search this from the one entity. So you can really get kind of tricky and kind of be like, I'm going to search the part number, the part reference, the part description, and the barcode, all from one search spot. I'm going to, you can't get like Google, blah, 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 blah.
So would it be a very narrow, specific search, or would it be a very wide,
Watch this right here.
general search?
Shannon, go back to the Parks and General Inventory homepage, and the one that you put on pack under reference number, hit edit on that for just a second. And I want you to put special, just in this word, where it's not going to be in, basically, yeah, just for now. Okay, go ahead and go down and say submit. Okay, go up the top there, just go special. Okay, you'll notice it wasn't in the part number, it wasn't in the description, but it was in the reference field. So it was able to find it still. Like, there's lots of different ways
So
you can.
you've got your searches set up very much so that it's
Wildcard
very
searches.
wide.
Yeah, wildcard searches is what we call them.
So they're general, they're very wide general.
They are. And
But the more information you put in on where you went to do the search, the select search, and then that, when you were put in right there, pack or all or.
okay, correct. So you can even put.
That's where you narrow your search.
You could go SP, and it would find whatever it wanted to find. But basically, as you get items in there, it just allows you to search things very, very quick. Just kind
More
of depending.
descriptors, I mean, so as you're working with somebody, if they've got the more descriptions they put in,
Man.
the
Yep,
easier
yep.
it's going to be. Come on, way to go.
Correct.
So now I just.
So perfect. That's great. That's great. And I'm very glad that she kind of blew it out of the water a little bit compared to like just a couple little items. We wanted to kind of show you what's possible.
So,
That's great.
so in my bottles, if I just wanted to put amber bottle in the reference thing, or I could be specific, or bottles with droppers, or, you know.
Okay, so your reference number is technically another field that doesn't show up on the invoice, but it's another searchable value. You could put subcategories, you could put special usage, you could put, hey, vendor A calls it XYZ, vendor C calls it ABC, but I called it my generic 27. So I can do 27, I can do the XYZ, or the ABC, and it can find it all, mapping it basically to one spot, okay? So it's a great little way to kind of do some fun little pieces to add to it. We have, I would say probably one of the ones that does this the best is there is a bowling company. They set up themselves. They have 30 locations, all on the East Coast. They had one guy went into a play site, played for a month, figured out his plan on paper, and boom, they set up all 30 of their locations. They're running from a standard warehouse and distributing from one warehouse to 30 locations, all spread out across the East Coast. He did it all by himself. I know 2 people from that entire company. It's just because I've talked to him on the phone a little bit. His name is Michael Weber, but he's just a stud. He just, bam, like, amazing. Well, even look at Shannon. If we're talking and she's just sitting here, bam, 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 bam. Let's see if she hits refresh on this. I bet you we're going to see a whole bunch of new little, nice. So for backpacking and everything. Love it. So she's just kind of playing with some of the search features.
And she thought she'd have to put it back in the description.
Okay, so watch this. Like, she's currently on the parts and general inventory homepage. Go up to the top for a second, Shannon, and click on Show High Search Criteria. Okay, you can choose a vendor, a category, or a description. That's it, and maybe a location if you wanted. If you wanted to really tweak this out, why don't you go to the advanced part search? It's the top link up there. Yep. Okay, which vendor do you want? Which category do you want? Which reference do you want? You can start being super ultra detailed, okay? So I just want my gear shop, and I just want stuff that's going to match the reference of this, but it also has the part number of the pack, okay? Whatever you're going to do, but you have multiple places that you can actually filter those records on, okay? So that's how we play inside of Adilas. Instead of a Google search has one text box, and you type in this and this and this, okay? And then behind the scenes it's trying to like match all this stuff. What we do in Adilas is we're like, guess what? There's 20 fields. Why don't you put in the specific field to help you filter and narrow this thing? So that's how that gets played. So she's doing subcategories under her gear shop, okay? So she has tons and tons of stuff underneath her gear shop is her main category, and then underneath that she's got tent and backpacking. But her main thing is gear shop, okay? That's how she's choosing to almost use that reference number as a subcategory.
So the gear shop is her business.
Okay, so gear shop, Shannon, select gear shop right underneath that category field. Okay. Okay, so that's actually a category, gear shop. No, that's not her business. That's just how she wants it to show up. and then below that she has it filtered. So like she chose to use Gear Shop as her main thing, but she may end up saying, you know what, I need to break Gear Shop into more things. So instead of having Gear Shop being the main category, she may want it tents and this and this and this and this and this and this. Like actually adding more categories and then subdividing. Like it's all kind of depends on how you want it to eventually look on your financials and or.
Well, when we talk vendor category and items, her Gear Shop is the name of her company.
Okay.
But then she went vendor specific, but
So-
then her categories were tent packs.
She added a little sub. She's adding a sub to that. So we only went 3 deep. We went vendor, category, item. So her vendor was whatever the vendor was, okay? Her category was Gear Shop. It was that high, okay? And then underneath in the items, she started to specify there.
And then she went sub-items.
So which is fine, she did that. If I were doing this and I actually wanted to search things even faster and I just wanted tents and I would actually say, you know what, they're all going to be these retail items, but I'm going to have a physical category, vendor, category of tent, vendor, category of backpack.
Which
And then-
is what Mark was saying.
That's what I would recommend.
Schools would be there. I mean, anything that has subcategories.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how you want to arrange it.
Well, my business wasn't even that. That was just
That was a side,
little
little
something. Like the thing is a wilderness guiding company. So I brought in a whole bunch of things that were services under myself, and then I just specifically needed gear from different vendors. So you could organize it like that, though. Tents, packs, shoes.
So did you set it on your life's
Yeah.
mission now? You're
No.
going up to Alaska?
She's dreaming.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yeah, but I mean, you could go in and still edit that. Like, I wouldn't have to leave it in Gear Shop. I could just go edit it and make a packs category and then put all those.
You have to do a little bit of flip-flopping, but it's piece All your data already exists. It's just a matter of saying, oh, you're now in this category. Oh, you're now in this category. You would kind of go through and flip-flop some stuff.
So basically, she would flip-flop, put everything into a category and then take Gear Shop and make it inactive.
I would just make Gear Shop something else or whatever if she wanted. Yeah, it could, or you could flip it in active and it virtually says, okay, cool, I used to be used, but I'm just getting.
Well, and it would be too, like she started this, let's say this is the way her business progressed. So she started off with these guided tours and she was just bringing in a little bit of gear and then the gear really became the main business. So at that point she could just.
Yep. So at that point, like she may end up having a couple hundred items or so. So it might take you a couple hours to actually go through there and go, oh, this one is still here. This one. But as soon as you do that, all of a sudden it starts cascading itself backwards. And so any of your old financials that you were running, guess what? You just recategorized into, all it is it's just revenue. Where's that revenue coming from? Oh, it's now categorized in this. It's all retroactive because it plays in this whole, it's almost a spatial, spherical place. It's no longer linear. Oh, I closed out my month. Don't touch anything. That is so old school. That is paper and pencil. Okay?
That was so last year.
That was so last year. No, I'm kidding. But it is a new theory and some philosophies, but you can play that way because you have a centrally located thing and because things are connected through some of these times and elements, and you're doing world building, and it kind of allows you to learn some of these things. Okay?
Cool.
I think it's about lunchtime.
Sounds good.
Any questions before we go to lunch? I think this was a great morning. It was good stuff.
I think this is really what we need to actually see what is going on. So Brandon,
Yes.
so if I decided I wanted to do retail and bring something in, what would I call that? What would that category be? Would it be retail?
Okay, retail is very generic.
Everything's very.
What do you want to, like, what kind of retail items do you have? Because you
Well,
might
like
even
if
do
I
it with
bring in
subcategories.
essential oils, if I bring in homeopathics, in other words, something produced by somebody else that I wanted to.
Okay, so you might even, it doesn't hurt anything to have multiple categories. Like, you can literally have 50 if you need. We've been keeping it very, very teeny and small.
So I could do like Dr. Christopher's formulas, essential oils. I could do those like that if I wanted to.
Correct. Like, you're not, we're in a play site right here, but you can literally blow this up. I'm going to just show you just for a minute. I know we're heading to lunch, but here we go. Watch this. Let's go to Morningstar Automotive. This is an old one. Okay. I'm at the parts and general inventory homepage. I'm going to say add it to categories. We've got a bunch, okay? Parts, labor, there was some specific things that we did here. If I switch to a different corporation, let's take you to Adilas real quick. This is how we set up our categories. This is parts of services. So I'm going to scroll down to the parts and general inventory homepage, items homepage, item categories. Now you'll notice that mine says items instead of parts, okay? That's the core part setting that we're kind of just passing across. Look at this. Activation, bookkeeping, consulting, custom code, e-commerce, hardware, monthly, optimization. So underneath this, I have different items underneath this. But these are ways that I wanted it broken out. So when I look at a P&L, it'll actually say, what did I have under monthly service? What did I have under storage? What did I have under web service or custom? Like all of a sudden it's starting to break things down into even further and further levels. And so that's on like you can dream to wherever level you want to, if that makes sense, okay? So this is just very simple, but you can see how there's a bunch here. I'm going to switch to another corporation. This is very, very small. More digital ideas. And we'll go to the parts homepage. Oops, I missed it by one. Parts and general inventory homepage, go. And I'll go to the add part categories. Basic parts. It's very teeny, okay? But I have web hosting and some different things. I didn't even really care because it was kind of just like I didn't need a whole lot. So you're able to play in whatever level you need to play in, okay? Hopefully that answered your question there, but literally you have tons of tools. How deep do you want to go? How detailed do you want to be? And how do you want it to look eventually on your P&L type stuff?
What do you do? This is a crazy question, but if somebody has a company and they set it up, they really have two different operations going. I mean, what do you do with people who are entrepreneurial and have 2 or 3 businesses going?
Okay, Cheryl should probably answer that question.
Locations.
Okay, correct. So watch this. I'm going to just show you a small little graphic here, and I'm going to go help on this, and I know that I happen to have a little thing right here. Here's what we do, okay? You have to have one location to make things work. If you have multiple things, and you're technically, you can stack this marble however you want to stack it. Okay, does that make a little bit of sense?
Yes.
And the cool thing is we haven't even talked about this, but guess what the underlying piece of everything is?
Okay, is location, which theoretically could be 2 or 3 sub-businesses.
Okay, it's either virtual or real.
That's correct. Okay.
Her business, she's probably got 4 that's running underneath her. It's all under the same tax ID, but guess what? They have completely different things. They do some computer work and some consulting. They do herbal stuff. She does classes. She does food storage. She does, but guess what? It's all under the same, it's almost DBAs, if you will,
Right.
but it's under one EIN. She has 4 virtual locations. She stacked her model, but guess what?
I knew you would have that available.
Like, you can play in lots of different levels, and it doesn't have to be a physical location. Inside of Atlas, we have 2 locations, okay? We have services and we have retail. We wanted to kind of track them separately as far as what's going where. We technically don't have any different locations at all, but it just depends on how you want to track your stuff. It's another layer to the model, if that makes sense. Great, I love it. You know what? I hope you realize that the more we get distracted, I realize some people who try to follow it are like, oh my goodness, but these are wonderful questions, and please continue, because that's exactly what we're trying to do, is help you learn how this stuff works, okay? It's fun. It's fun. All right, let's go ahead and do lunch.